In a galaxy far away, where planets shone like sparkling jewels among the stars, there was a planet called Xylaria. Xylaria was famous for its towering crystal cities, floating gardens, and rivers that glowed softly under its twin suns. The planet was ruled by a royal family of aliens with shimmering blue skin and long, slender limbs. Yet despite the beauty and splendor around her, a young princess named Mira often felt a deep sadness. Mira was small for her age, with big, curious eyes that sparkled like the stars above her planet. She had a soft voice, a gentle heart, and a brilliant mind that loved to explore and learn. She spent her days studying the stars, learning the ancient history of her people, and helping those in need. She was intelligent and kind, but strangely, all the alien males of her planet avoided her. No one wanted to be friends with her, and invitations to play or attend gatherings rarely reached her. "Why do they not like me?" Mira asked quietly to her reflection one morning as she brushed her hair with a silver comb. Her mother, the queen, entered the room gently. "They do not see your true worth yet, my little star," said Queen Sora, her voice warm but tinged with sadness. "One day, someone will." Mira sighed, her tiny shoulders drooping. She wanted to laugh and play with the other young aliens, to run through the floating gardens and dance under the twin suns, but every time she tried, they whispered behind her back or hurried away. Even the young boys at the Royal Academy avoided her. At school, Mira sat alone under a glowing tree during break. She watched the other children practice flying small hovercrafts and playing games of balance and agility. She wished she could join them, but every attempt ended in rejection. Just as she was about to leave, a small green bird-like creature landed on her shoulder. "Hello," it chirped softly. Mira smiled. At least someone wanted to be near her. She named the creature Lumi, and together they would wander the palace gardens, talk about the stars, and share secrets. Despite her loneliness, Mira was not bitter. She studied the ancient scrolls and records of her family, learning about Xylaria's history. One day while reading, she stumbled upon a prophecy written centuries ago in silver ink. When the little star is alone among her people, a stranger from another world will see her true light, and together they will bring harmony to the galaxy. Mira's heart fluttered. Could it be true? Could someone from another world see her as she truly was? She tucked the scroll away and imagined what a stranger might be like. Perhaps someone brave, kind, and curious, someone who would not judge her for being different. Days passed, and Mira continued her routine. She practiced hovercraft maneuvers alone, explored the crystal forests, and talked to Lumi about the endless mysteries of the universe. But her heart ached when she saw the other children laughing and playing together, knowing she could not join them. One afternoon, the palace announced a grand gathering in the central plaza. All young aliens were invited to showcase their skills in arts, science, and agility. Mira's eyes lit up with hope. Maybe this time someone would notice her. She spent hours preparing, polishing her hovercraft, rehearsing her star mapping, presentation, and practicing her dance under the light of the twin suns. The day of the gathering arrived. The plaza buzzed with excitement as young aliens displayed dazzling performances. Hovercrafts zoomed through loops and twirls, glowing creatures performed synchronized dances, and children demonstrated clever inventions. Mira approached the central stage, her heart pounding with hope. "Come on, Mira, show us what you can do," Lumi chirped encouragingly from her shoulder. Mira took a deep breath and began her demonstration. She guided her hovercraft with perfect precision, weaving through crystal arches and performing moves no one else had ever attempted. Then, she presented her star maps, showing patterns of galaxies that amazed the audience with their accuracy and creativity. Yet when she finished, the response was quiet. The young alien males glanced at each other, murmured softly, and walked away. Mira's small heart sank. She had tried so hard, and still no one recognized her efforts. Tears threatened to spill, but she swallowed them and gave a gentle bow. Just as she was about to leave, she noticed a figure standing at the edge of the plaza. Unlike the others, he was not from Xylaria. He wore a sleek suit, carried strange tools, and had skin of a warm human tone. His eyes, kind and curious, were fixed on her performance. He clapped quietly, sincerely, and smiled. Mira's heart skipped a beat. For the first time, someone had seen her, truly seen her. After the gathering, the human approached. "That was incredible," he said gently. "I've never seen anyone navigate a hovercraft like that, or map the stars with such clarity. I'm Leo, a traveler from a distant planet." Mira blinked in surprise. I'm Mira," she whispered. She had never spoken to anyone like him before. Leo smiled warmly. "It seems to me you are very brave and talented. You shouldn't be sad. Not everyone can see your light yet, but I can." For the first time in her life, Mira felt a spark of hope. Maybe the prophecy was true. Maybe this human from another world would see her as she truly was, not just as the little alien princess everyone ignored. As the twin suns set over Xylaria, Mira and Leo walked together through the crystal gardens. Lumi chirped happily, circling above them. Mira felt a strange joy, a feeling she had never known. She was not alone. Somewhere out in the galaxy, her life was about to change in ways she could not yet imagine. Little did she know, this human would soon take her on a journey across the stars, teaching her about courage, friendship, and the true meaning of being, seen for who she was. And perhaps, in the vast galaxy, Mira would finally find her place, among those who respected her, admired her, and cared for her without judgment. The lonely little princess had waited a long time, but her adventure was just beginning. The next morning, the twin suns of Xylaria rose slowly over the crystal city, casting long, shimmering shadows across the palace gardens. Mira woke early, her heart still racing from the encounter with the human named Leo. She could hardly believe. Someone had truly seen her, not as a strange little princess or an oddity, but as herself, brave, clever, and kind. Mira tiptoed through the halls of the palace, careful not to wake her mother. She found Lumi perched on a crystal vase, chirping softly. "Lumi," Mira whispered, "do you think he will come again?" The little bird tilted its head as if to say, "I think so." Mira's eyes sparkled with hope. Today she would find out. Sure enough. Just after the morning announcements, a soft humming noise echoed through the palace gates. Mira ran to the balcony and gasped. A sleek silver spacecraft had landed in the courtyard. Its surface glimmered under the twin suns, and strange markings covered its sides, markings that seemed to shimmer like flowing water. The hatch opened, and Leo stepped out. He was smiling, holding a small device in his hands. "Good morning, Princess Mira," he said warmly. "I hope I'm not intruding." Mira shook her head, unable to speak at first. She had expected humans to be strange or scary, but Leo radiated kindness. You're here," she whispered finally. "I promised I would return," Leo said, "and I would like to ask something. Would you like to see the galaxy with me?" Mira's heart skipped a beat. See the galaxy? Explore other worlds? She had always dreamed of traveling, of seeing what lay beyond Xylaria's glowing rivers and crystal towers. But the thought of leaving her home, of leaving her family, made her stomach flutter nervously. I don't know," she admitted. "I've never left Xylaria before, and my people, they don't understand me." Leo nodded gently. "Sometimes we find people don't understand us. That doesn't mean we are wrong or unworthy. Maybe, We just need to explore, to show them what we can do. Mira thought about this. She remembered the prophecy she had read, the one that spoke of a stranger from another world who would see her true light. Could Leo be that stranger? Her heart said yes. She nodded slowly. "I'll come with you," she said. Lumi chirped happily, fluttering around her head. The palace staff looked on with surprise as Mira, the little alien princess, walked confidently toward the spacecraft. Whispers followed her. She is leaving the palace? Who is this human? But Mira paid them no mind. Today, she was making her own choice. Once inside the spacecraft, Mira's eyes widened in wonder. The interior was smooth and metallic, with panels that glowed softly and controls that seemed alive under Leo's hands. "Wow," she breathed. "It's beautiful." Leo smiled. "It will take some time to learn, but I will teach you. We are about to travel farther than you have ever imagined." As the engines hummed to life, the spacecraft lifted gracefully from the palace courtyard. Mira pressed her face to the window, watching her planet shrink below her. For the first time, she felt excitement stronger than fear. She was leaving, the world that had rejected her, but she was not alone. During the journey, Leo introduced Mira to basic navigation and the control systems of the spacecraft. She learned quickly, her curiosity and intelligence shining through. "You're a fast learner," Leo said, impressed. "I can already tell you'll make an excellent explorer." Mira blushed. "Thank you," she said softly. "I've always wanted to learn more. About the stars, the planets, everything." Leo nodded. "Then you are in the right place. The galaxy is full of wonders. Some are beautiful, some are dangerous, but all have lessons to teach us." As they traveled, Mira began to see planets she had only read about in books, one covered in glowing forests, another floating like a giant sapphire in a sea of stars. Meteors streaked past their ship, painting bright lines across the dark canvas of space. Mira's heart raced with joy. Yet not all encounters were peaceful. One day, while passing through a dense asteroid field, the spacecraft shook violently as small rocks collided with its shields. Mira clung to the railings, eyes wide with fear. "Don't worry, Mira," Leo called over the hum of the engines. "I've got this. Just watch and learn." With skilled hands, he maneuvered the spacecraft through narrow gaps, twisting and turning with incredible precision. Mira watched in awe, amazed at his bravery and skill. For the first time, she realized that courage wasn't about being unafraid. It was about acting wisely even when you were scared. After the danger passed, Mira's face lit up with a huge smile. "I did it! I watched it!" she exclaimed. Leo laughed softly. "Yes, you watched it. And you learned something very important today," he said. "You saw how we must trust ourselves and stay calm, even when the world feels uncertain." As the stars stretched endlessly before them, Mira began to feel something she had never felt on Zalaria. Belonging. She belonged here, among the stars, with Leo by her side. She was not the lonely little princess anymore. She was a traveler, an explorer, a friend. Yet far across the galaxy, whispers of her departure had reached the ears of those who disapproved. Some alien nobles viewed Mira's journey with suspicion. "A human," one elder hissed. "She will bring shame to the royal family." But Mira did not hear them. Her mind was filled with excitement, wonder, and the promise of adventure. She looked at Leo and said, "Thank you for seeing me as I am." Leo smiled. "The galaxy is full of people who might not see your light, Mira, but remember, it only takes one person to believe in you to change everything." And as the spacecraft glided through a river of sparkling stars, Mira knew deep in her heart that her journey had just begun. She was no longer just a lonely little princess. She was a voyager across the galaxy, ready to face new worlds, new challenges, and new friends. For the first time in her life, Mira felt a joy so bright it could outshine even the twin suns of Xylaria. And she knew, without a doubt, that wherever the galaxy would take her, she would never be alone again. The stars stretched endlessly before Mira and Leo as their spacecraft glided through the galaxy. Mira could no longer imagine life back on Xylaria, where she had felt lonely and unseen. Here, among the stars, she felt free, curious, brave, and ready for adventure. "Leo," Mira said one morning, her eyes wide with wonder, "how many worlds are out there? Will we see them all?" Leo smiled as he adjusted the ship's controls. "There are thousands, maybe millions of planets in this galaxy, Mira. Each one is different. Some are safe, some are tricky, and some might surprise us." Mira leaned over the control panel, fascinated by the screens and instruments that showed spinning galaxies and sparkling asteroids. "I want to see everything. I want to understand everything." "You will," Leo said. "But exploring can be dangerous. You must always be careful, think quickly, and trust yourself." Mira nodded. She had learned courage before, but now she was about to test it in ways she had never imagined. Their journey led them to a planet called Virelia, a world covered in swirling purple clouds and glowing crystal mountains. Sensors on the ship indicated that the planet's surface was unstable, with shifting terrains and strong winds. "Be careful, Mira," Leo warned. "Landing here will not be easy." Mira gripped the railing as the spacecraft descended, feeling her stomach flutter with excitement and fear. The ship bounced slightly as it touched down on a crystal plateau. The ground glittered beneath them, sharp and beautiful, but uneven and tricky to walk on. "This place is amazing," Mira exclaimed, stepping cautiously out of the ship. The air was crisp and filled with a faint hum, like the sound of distant music. Tiny glowing creatures flitted around her, leaving sparkling trails behind them. Mira bent down to watch one closely, her eyes wide with wonder. Leo laughed softly. "Be careful not to touch them too much. They're fragile, but they're also an important part of this planet's ecosystem." Mira nodded, smiling. She felt a deep respect for this world already, a feeling she had rarely experienced on Xylaria, where many focused only on appearances and rules. As they explored, Mira noticed the crystal mountains shifting slightly, as if the planet itself was alive. "Leo, look! The ground is moving," she said, pointing. "Yes," Leo said, frowning. "Virelia is full of surprises. We must stay alert." Suddenly, a section of the plateau beneath them cracked and shifted. Mira stumbled, but Leo grabbed her hand, steadying her. "It's okay, Mira. Just stay calm." Mira's heart raced. She had never faced real danger like this before. Her mind spun with fear, but she remembered Leo's words. Courage was not about being unafraid. It was about acting wisely, even when you were scared. Together, they carefully moved across the unstable terrain, using ropes and tools Leo had taught her to secure their path. Mira followed his instructions closely, learning to trust both herself and her guide. As they reached a safer area, Mira looked around in awe. The plateau opened into a valley filled with towering crystal trees and glowing streams. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "I've never seen anything like it." Leo nodded. "And it's even more beautiful when you're brave enough to explore it." Mira smiled, feeling proud of herself. She had faced her fear, and the reward was worth it. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the valley. The glowing streams surged, and small crystal shards fell from the trees. Mira froze. "What's happening?" she asked, panic creeping into her voice. Leo grabbed her hand. "Virelia is a living planet. Sometimes it reacts when visitors come. We need to move quickly." Together, they navigated the valley, leaping over streams and dodging falling shards. Mira's heart pounded, but she found herself thinking quickly, spotting safe paths and helping Leo when he needed it. You're doing very well, Mira, Leo said, glancing at her with pride. You're learning fast. Mira felt a warm glow of confidence. For the first time, she realized that she could handle challenges on her own, and that her intelligence and courage mattered more than the opinions of others. After what felt like hours, they reached the edge of the valley, where the ground was more stable. Mira collapsed on a soft patch of crystal moss, laughing with relief. "We made it," she said, her voice full of wonder. Leo smiled, sitting beside her. "Yes, we did, and you were amazing. I couldn't have done it without your help." Mira looked at him, her eyes shining. "I've never felt like this before. On Xylaria, I was always alone. No one wanted to see me. But here, with you, I feel like I belong." Leo placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You do belong, Mira. Not just here, but anywhere you choose. And anyone who doesn't see your worth, that's their loss." Mira hugged Lumi, who had been fluttering nervously beside her. The little bird chirped happily, sensing Mira's joy. As they prepared to leave Veralia, Mira took one last look at the glowing valley. She felt a sense of accomplishment and excitement for the next adventure. The galaxy was full of wonders, and she was ready to face them, one challenge at a time. Leo piloted the spacecraft with skill as they lifted off, gliding past the crystal mountains and back into the open stars. Mira pressed her face to the window, watching the planet shrink beneath them. She thought of the lonely girl she had once been, and smiled. She had changed. She was no longer defined by rejection or fear. "You were very brave today," Leo said, glancing at her. "And you learned something important. Courage and intelligence are stronger than fear and doubt." Mira nodded, feeling a surge of pride. "Thank you, Leo. I feel different now, stronger." Leo smiled warmly. "Good. The galaxy is full of places that will test you, Mira, and each time you'll discover more about yourself." As the spacecraft sailed through the stars, Mira felt a deep sense of purpose. She was no longer just a lonely princess. She was an explorer, a learner, and a friend. And for the first time, she truly believed that her life could be filled with adventure, friendship, and discovery. Little did she know, even greater challenges awaited them in the galaxy. Challenges that would test her courage, intelligence, and heart, but also show her that the universe had room for someone as special as her. Mira smiled at Leo. "Where are we going next?" she asked. Leo grinned. "Wherever the stars take us, Mira. Wherever the stars take us." And with that, the little alien princess and the human traveler continued their journey, soaring into the vast unknown, ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store. The stars stretched endlessly outside the spacecraft, a dazzling sea of light that seemed to promise endless adventures. Mira sat at the observation window, her eyes reflecting the swirling galaxies. The journey had already changed her. She felt braver, smarter, and more alive than she ever had on Xylaria. "Leo," she said softly, "do you think I will ever understand everything about the galaxy?" Leo smiled, leaning over the control panel. "The galaxy is too big for anyone to understand it completely, Mira. But that's the joy of exploration. We learn more every day, and each discovery brings us closer to who we are." Mira nodded, feeling a spark of curiosity ignite within her. She wanted to learn everything about planets, stars, and even her own past. There had been hints on Xylaria that her family's history was unusual, but the details were always hidden or forgotten. "I want to know about my family," Mira said quietly. "I want to understand why the others didn't accept me." Leo looked thoughtful. "Then maybe it's time we visited a place where you can find some answers. There's an abandoned outpost on the planet Xereth, full of old records and archives. It might tell us more about your lineage. Mira's eyes widened. Really? We can go there? Yes, Leo replied. But it won't be easy. The outpost is old and it has been abandoned for centuries. We must be careful. Mira felt a thrill of excitement. Danger, mystery, and answers all at once. She was ready. The spacecraft descended towards Zareth, a rocky planet with dark mountains and hidden valleys. The surface was rugged and winds whipped fiercely across the plains, sending small rocks tumbling. Mira held onto the railing as they landed, feeling the thrill of the unknown. Stay close, Leo warned. We don't know what we will find. The two of them stepped out, Mira's boots crunching on the jagged stones. The outpost loomed ahead, a massive structure built from dark metal, now rusted and covered in alien moss. Its doors creaked as they pushed them open, revealing dim corridors filled with dust and forgotten relics. Mira's eyes shone with wonder. It's amazing, she whispered. I can feel history here. They moved carefully, their footsteps echoing in the empty halls. Leo guided Mira to a central chamber filled with shelves of ancient records, glowing tablets, and old star charts. Mira ran her hands over the surfaces, feeling a connection to her past she had never known. Look at these, Leo said, pointing to a set of scrolls with silver markings. These might tell us something about your family. Mira took a deep breath and began reading. Slowly, a story unfolded. Long ago, her ancestors had been leaders of a distant planet, known for their intelligence and extraordinary abilities. They had explored the galaxy, forming alliances and spreading knowledge. But when a mysterious event threatened their world, many of her people turned away from her family, fearing change and difference. Mira's heart ached. Is that why the others rejected me? She asked softly. Leo nodded. It seems so. Your abilities and uniqueness are tied to your ancestry. Some may not understand it, but that doesn't make you less important. In fact, it makes you special. Mira closed her eyes, absorbing the truth. For the first time, she understood herself, not just as a little princess who had been rejected, but as someone with a legacy of courage, intelligence, and exploration. As they continued exploring the outpost, Mira found a hidden compartment with a small, glowing device. When she activated it, a holographic projection appeared, showing maps of distant worlds and secret knowledge about her family's past. Mira's eyes sparkled with wonder. This is incredible, she whispered. All of this belongs to my family? Yes, Leo said softly, and now it belongs to you too. Knowledge is power, Mira. Use it wisely. Just as Mira was studying the maps, the ground trembled slightly. Leo's sensors beeped urgently. Mira, we're not alone. Someone is approaching the outpost. Mira's heart raced. She had never faced real danger outside of learning challenges and obstacles. But now she understood that this was part of the journey, part of what it meant to explore the galaxy. Who is it? She asked, gripping Leo's arm. Alien pursuers, Leo replied quietly. They must have heard that you left Xylaria. They want to bring you back, but we can't let that happen. We need to hide and think fast. Mira felt fear, but it was mixed with determination. She had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but action despite it. Where do we hide? She asked. Leo led her to a narrow passage behind the archives. It was dark and winding, but it provided cover. Mira followed silently, her heart pounding, but she felt a strange strength inside her. She was no longer just the lonely princess. She was someone who could face challenges, think quickly, and act wisely. As the pursuers entered the main chamber, Leo whispered, "Stay calm. We'll find a way out." Mira nodded, gripping Lumi tightly. She watched the glowing light of the pursuers move past, barely noticing the hidden passage. The air was tense, but Mira felt a sense of pride. She had remained calm, had trusted herself, and had learned to move through danger. Once the pursuers moved away, Leo and Mira navigated the twisting passages until they reached an emergency exit. The spacecraft was waiting outside, engines humming, softly, ready to take them to safety. As they lifted off, Mira looked back at the outpost. It had revealed her past, her heritage, and her strength. But it had also shown her that the galaxy could be dangerous, and that some challenges required courage, intelligence, and trust in others. "Thank you, Leo," Mira said quietly. "I understand more now about myself and my family." Leo smiled. "You've learned quickly, Mira, and this is only the beginning. There's so much more to discover, and so many adventures ahead." Mira nodded, feeling a new confidence within her. She was no longer defined by the rejection of her people. She had knowledge, courage, and a friend who believed in her. She was ready for whatever the galaxy would bring next, and somewhere, across the stars, whispers of her journey were spreading. Some were curious, others cautious, but all were beginning to notice the little alien princess who dared to leave her world and explore the universe. Mira pressed her face to the observation window, watching the planets glide by. "I'm ready," she whispered. "I'm ready for everything." Leo glanced at her, his eyes warm. "I know you are, Mira. The galaxy is wide, full of challenges, friends, and wonders. And you are ready to shine." The spacecraft soared onward, deeper, into the stars. Mira felt hope, excitement, and a growing sense of purpose. She was no longer just the lonely princess of Xylaria. She was a voyager, an explorer, and someone who would face the galaxy with courage, intelligence, and a heart full of light. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Mira knew one thing clearly: her adventure had only just begun. The galaxy stretched endlessly around Mira and Leo as their spacecraft sailed through bright star clusters and swirling nebulae. Mira had grown more confident since leaving Xylaria. She understood her heritage, had faced danger, and discovered that courage and intelligence mattered more than appearances. Yet, she knew there was still more to learn. Leo glanced at her as he adjusted the ship's course. "Mira, the galaxy is full of challenges, and not all of them are obvious. Some test your mind, some your courage, and some your heart." Mira nodded, gripping the edge of her seat. She had faced obstacles before, but Leo's words made her realize that the greatest tests were still ahead. She felt excitement and determination swirl together inside her, like a fire lighting her way through the stars. Their journey led them to Zitharon, a planet of floating islands and electric storms. The planet was known for its dangerous winds and sharp crystal spires, but it also held rare minerals and knowledge that could help Mira understand her abilities even more. "Landing here will not be easy," Leo warned. "The storms are unpredictable, and the terrain is unstable." Mira's heart raced, but she felt ready. "I can do it," she said firmly. "I want to try." The spacecraft shuddered as they descended through the swirling clouds. Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the jagged crystal spires below. Mira gripped the railing as the ship bounced on gusts of wind. "You're doing great, Mira," Leo said, keeping his focus on the controls. "Just stay calm and follow my instructions." Mira followed closely, learning to anticipate the ship's movements and react quickly. She realized that courage was more than feeling brave. It was thinking clearly, staying focused, and trusting herself. Once they landed on a floating island, Mira stepped out cautiously. The ground glittered with tiny crystals, and the wind howled around them. Strange creatures darted between the rocks, glowing faintly in the stormy light. Mira felt her pulse quicken, but also a sense of wonder she had never felt before. "This place is incredible," she whispered. "It feels alive." It is, Leo replied, and it will challenge you in ways you haven't imagined. As they explored, they discovered a hidden cave filled with rare crystals that pulsed with energy. Mira approached them, mesmerized by the soft glow. Leo cautioned her. Be careful. These crystals store a lot of energy. They can be helpful, but they can also be dangerous if not handled correctly. Mira studied the crystals, remembering the lessons she had learned on Virelia. She carefully touched one, noting its vibrations and the patterns of energy. Using her knowledge and intuition, she was able to extract a small crystal safely. Leo watched in amazement. You did that perfectly, he said. You have a natural understanding of how things work. You're proving yourself more and more. Mira felt a warm glow of pride. For the first time, she realized that her unique abilities were a gift, not a curse. She had been rejected before, but now she could see her own value clearly. Just as they prepared to leave the cave, the ground trembled. A loud rumble echoed through the floating islands. Mira's heart leapt. She remembered the warnings Leo had given about the unpredictable storms. Suddenly, a series of floating rocks shifted dangerously, threatening to block their path. Leo's sensors beeped urgently. Mira, we need to move. Quickly! This is going to test everything you've learned. Mira took a deep breath. She remembered Virelia, the outpost, and the lessons of courage and intelligence. She looked at the rocks, noted their movements, and found a safe path. This way, she shouted, guiding Leo as he maneuvered the ship through the shifting terrain. The spacecraft dodged falling rocks and gusts of wind, bouncing and twisting through the storm. Mira stayed focused, giving Leo precise instructions based on her observations. Together they navigated the danger with skill and teamwork. When the storm finally passed, Mira and Leo landed safely on a calmer island. Mira's heart was still racing, but she laughed with relief and excitement. We did it! She exclaimed. I can't believe we made it! Leo smiled, pride shining in his eyes. Yes, we did, and you were incredible. You stayed calm, thought clearly, and guided us. That's true courage, Mira. You didn't just survive, you proved yourself. Mira felt a new confidence growing inside her. She had faced real danger, made quick decisions, and relied on her abilities. She was no longer just a lonely princess. She was a capable explorer, ready to face anything the galaxy could throw at her. As they prepared to leave Zitharon, Mira glanced at the floating islands below. The storm had been frightening, but it had also shown her something important. Her strength came from within. She did not need the approval of others to know her worth. She had proven it to herself. Leo placed a hand on her shoulder. Remember this, Mira. There will be more challenges ahead, and some may seem impossible, but you've learned that courage, intelligence, and a kind heart can overcome almost anything. Mira nodded, smiling. I understand now. I'm not just the little princess who was rejected. I'm someone who can face the galaxy and make a difference. As the spacecraft soared through the stars, Mira felt a sense of purpose she had never known. The galaxy was full of wonders and dangers, but she was ready. She had Leo by her side, knowledge in her hands, and courage in her heart. Somewhere, across the galaxy, whispers of her deeds were spreading. Aliens who had ignored her before began to hear stories of the little princess who had traveled with a human, faced storms, and proved her intelligence and bravery. Mira pressed her hands against the observation window, watching distant planets and glowing nebulae pass by. She thought of her home on Xylaria and the lonely days she had endured. But now, she realized that she had grown stronger, wiser, and braver than she had ever imagined. I'm ready for whatever comes next, Mira whispered. I'm ready to show the galaxy who I really am. Leo smiled at her. I know you are, Mira. And no matter what happens, remember that your courage and heart will guide you. And with that, The spacecraft glided deeper into the stars, carrying Mira and Leo toward new adventures, new challenges, and the chance for the little alien princess to shine brightly across the galaxy. The lonely princess of Xylaria was gone. In her place stood a young explorer, ready to face the galaxy, prove herself, and inspire others with her courage, intelligence, and heart. The spacecraft glided silently through the endless stars, carrying Mira and Leo toward a place she had never imagined visiting, the Interstellar Council, a gathering of leaders from hundreds of planets across the galaxy. This council met rarely, and only to discuss matters of great importance. Mira felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She had already faced storms, strange worlds, and alien hunters, but now she would face leaders who could determine her place in the galaxy. Leo, Mira said quietly, staring out at the swirling colors of a nearby nebula. Do you think they will accept me? After everything? After what my people said? Leo placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Some may doubt you at first. Mira, but the Council respects courage, intelligence, and truth. And you have all three. Just be yourself. Mira took a deep breath. She remembered all the lessons she had learned. Bravery on Virelia, intelligence in the outpost, quick thinking on Zitharon, and the kindness that guided her heart. She was ready. The spacecraft entered a massive orbital station, shaped like a giant ring suspended above a glowing planet. Docking smoothly, Mira and Leo were greeted by a delegation of aliens, tall, short, glowing, and scaled. But all eyes turned curiously to the little alien princess. "Welcome, Princess Mira," said a stern voice. A tall, silver-skinned alien with glowing green eyes stepped forward. "We have heard of your journey and your unusual companion. Humans rarely travel these parts." Leo smiled politely. "I am Leo, a human explorer, and I am honored to accompany Mira, who has already shown incredible courage and intelligence." Mira stepped forward, her hands folded calmly. "Thank you for welcoming us," she said in a clear, respectful voice. "I come to learn and to show that actions matter more than appearances or fear." The council murmured among themselves. Some seemed skeptical, but others watched with interest. Mira noticed a few nodding slightly, impressed by her confidence. The council's first challenge was a test of intelligence. Holographic panels appeared, showing puzzles, star maps, and logic sequences. Mira studied them carefully. Her mind, sharpened by years of learning and exploration, quickly solved problem after problem. Leo watched proudly as she navigated the sequences with skill and clarity. "You are very clever, Mira," he whispered. "I've had good teachers," she replied softly, glancing at him with a small smile. Next came a challenge of courage. The council created a simulated environment of a dangerous asteroid field, with holographic rocks and unpredictable energy blasts. Mira would have to navigate a small hovercraft through the simulation while remaining calm and focused. Mira's heart raced, but she remembered Zitharon, the floating islands, and the storms she had faced before. She took control of the hovercraft, analyzing the patterns of the rocks and predicting their movements. Slowly but surely, she guided the craft safely through the simulation, even finding ways to help other participants navigate the tricky course. The council watched in surprise. Few had expected such skill and bravery from the little princess. Some whispered, "She is more capable than we imagined." Finally, the council presented a challenge of character and leadership. Mira was shown a scenario where multiple alien species were in conflict over resources on a remote planet. She had to propose a solution that was fair, wise, and respectful to all parties. Mira thought carefully. She remembered all she had learned about kindness, empathy, and respect. Speaking clearly and confidently, she suggested a plan that allowed each species to benefit while also protecting the planet's resources. Her proposal emphasized cooperation, understanding, and mutual respect, values she had learned through her adventures and from Leo. The council was silent for a moment. Then, one by one, members began nodding and murmuring approval. Even the skeptics looked impressed. Mira had not only completed the challenges, she had done so with wisdom, courage, and heart. A tall alien elder spoke. Princess Mira, you have shown intelligence beyond your years, courage in the face of danger, and a heart that seeks fairness and understanding. You are a true leader, and your actions speak louder than old prejudices. Mira's eyes sparkled. For the first time, she felt that she was truly seen and respected, not as a strange little princess, but as someone capable, wise, and brave. Leo stepped forward and smiled. I have known this all along. Mira has the courage, intelligence, and heart to inspire others. She is a true voyager of the galaxy. The council members conferred quietly. Then the elder turned back to Mira. You are welcome in the Interstellar Council, Princess. Your presence here is a reminder that the galaxy values those who act with wisdom, bravery, and compassion, not only those who fit old expectations. Mira felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had traveled so far, faced dangers, and learned so much, and now the galaxy was beginning to recognize her worth. As the council meeting concluded, Mira and Leo walked together to the observation deck of the station. Mira pressed her hands against the glass, staring at the stars. I never imagined that the galaxy could see me for who I really am, she whispered. Leo smiled. You've earned it, Mira. You've shown the galaxy your true light, and now it cannot be ignored. But remember, there will always be challenges. The key is to continue being brave, curious, and kind. Mira nodded, feeling a deep sense of purpose. She was no longer defined by rejection or doubt. She had proven herself, not just to the council, but to herself. She was a voyager, an explorer, and a young leader capable of facing the galaxy's greatest challenges. As they prepared to leave the station, Mira looked at Leo and smiled. Where to next? She asked. Wherever the stars take us, he replied. There are still worlds to explore, mysteries to uncover, and adventures waiting, and I know you're ready for all of it. Mira took a deep breath, feeling the thrill of the galaxy around her. She had faced storms, discovered her past, and proven herself to the Interstellar Council. She had grown from a lonely little princess into a confident, courageous, and wise explorer. And as the spacecraft glided back into the endless stars, Mira knew that the galaxy was not a place to fear, but a place to explore, with courage in her heart, knowledge in her mind, and kindness guiding every step. The little alien princess had become something more, a beacon of hope, a symbol of courage, and a voyager whose adventures would inspire the galaxy for years to come. The spacecraft glided smoothly through the stars, carrying Mira and Leo toward Xylaria, Mira's home planet. Mira's heart swelled with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She had traveled across the galaxy, faced dangers, proven her courage, and learned about her heritage. Yet now, returning home, she wondered how her people would receive her. Leo, she said softly, her eyes fixed on the approaching planet. Do you think they will accept me? After everything, will they see me differently? Leo placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. They will, Mira. You've grown so much, and your actions speak louder than any words. But remember, acceptance starts with your own confidence. You know your worth now. Mira took a deep breath, feeling the truth of his words. She had proven herself, not just to the galaxy, but to herself. She was brave, clever, and kind, and she was ready to show that to Xylaria. As the spacecraft descended toward the Crystal City, Mira noticed the familiar towers, rivers, and gardens. It all looked the same, yet somehow different. She felt a strange mix of nostalgia and new strength. When the hatch opened, the palace staff rushed to greet her. They stared in surprise, whispering among themselves. She has returned. She looks confident. Mira stepped forward calmly, holding Lumi in her hands. I have traveled the galaxy, she announced, and I have seen many worlds. I have faced storms, solved problems, and met countless beings. And through it all, I have learned one thing. Courage, intelligence, and kindness matter more than appearances or fear. The whispers grew louder, but Mira did not falter. She walked through the palace halls, past the doubting nobles, and toward her mother, who stood silently in the grand hall. Mira bowed respectfully. Mother, she said softly, I have returned, not just as your daughter, but as someone who has learned her strength, her heritage, and her place in the galaxy. Her mother's eyes widened. Mira noticed a flicker of pride mixed with awe. Mira, you have changed, she said, her voice trembling. You have grown beyond anything we imagined. Mira smiled gently. I have learned that my uniqueness is a gift, not a burden. And I hope that others on Xylaria can see that too. The palace elders who had once doubted her stepped forward. Their faces showed surprise and respect. One elder spoke. Princess Mira, you have returned not just as a child, but as someone who has proven courage, wisdom, and heart. Your journey across the galaxy shows us what it truly means to lead and to inspire. Mira's chest swelled with pride. For years, she had felt invisible, rejected, and misunderstood. But now, she was seen for who she truly was, a young leader, a voyager, and a symbol of courage. As word spread, the citizens of Xylaria gathered to witness her return. Mira walked through the city, holding Lumi, and noticed their expressions. Changed from doubt to admiration. Children waved, inspired by her bravery. Adults nodded, recognizing her growth and accomplishments. Mira realized that acceptance was not something given lightly. It was earned through actions, courage, and integrity. And she had earned it. Leo stood beside her, smiling proudly. You've done it, Mira. You've shown them your true self, and they see it now. Mira hugged him briefly. Thank you, Leo, for believing in me, for guiding me, and for being my friend. Leo nodded. I only showed you what you already had inside. You were always capable of greatness, Mira. You just needed the chance to see it yourself. That evening, Mira stood on the balcony of the palace, overlooking the glowing city. The twin suns set, painting the sky in shades of gold and violet. She reflected on her journey, the storms she had faced, the mysteries she had uncovered, and the challenges she had overcome. Each experience had shaped her, taught her, and strengthened her. Mira felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had left Xylaria as a lonely little princess, uncertain and unseen. She returned as a confident, courageous, and wise young explorer. She had faced the galaxy and proved her worth, not just to others, but to herself. As she watched the stars begin to twinkle in the darkening sky, Mira whispered softly, The galaxy is full of wonders, and I have seen so many of them. But I also know that my journey is not over. There is still so much to learn, so much to explore, and so many ways to help others. Lumi chirped happily, and Mira smiled. She had grown in ways she had never imagined. Her journey had taught her the value of courage, intelligence, kindness, and self-belief. And now, she could share those lessons with her people, inspiring a new generation of explorers. The city below glowed warmly, and Mira felt a sense of connection to her home, her people, and the universe. She knew that the world would no longer see her as strange or small. She had proven herself, and her light could no longer be ignored. Leo stepped beside her, watching the twin suns dip below the horizon. "So what's next?" he asked with a grin. Mira laughed softly, feeling the thrill of possibility. The galaxy is still out there. There are worlds to explore, mysteries to uncover, and adventures to experience. And now, I am ready for all of it. Leo nodded. Then let's go. Together. Mira looked at him, her eyes shining with determination and joy. Together, she agreed. And as night fell over Xylaria, the little alien princess who had once been rejected by all returned, as a voyager, a leader, and a beacon of hope. Her adventures had transformed her, and she would carry that strength into every challenge and discovery yet to come. For Mira, the galaxy was no longer a place of fear or doubt. It was a place of possibility, wonder, and endless adventure. And she was ready to face it all, with courage in her heart, intelligence in her mind, and kindness guiding every step. The journey had begun long ago with a lonely little princess who dared to dream. And now it continued, stronger, brighter, and more unstoppable than ever.